You get 2 hours of UCSS Monday through Friday. You get all the extra shows, but what you can't get enough of is the Behind the Glass crew. Anthony, Earl, myself, coming at you with a brand new episode of Behind the Glass, starting right now. What's up, guys? Mikey McNuggets here, as always, with Earl the Pearl and Anthony Antonelli, Cantaspelli, One Wrist Ant, whatever you want to call him. It is all appropriate. And how are you guys doing on this lovely Wednesday night? I can't believe the week's already halfway done. The 4-day work weeks fly by.
I wish we had them every week. I'd be all right with a 3-day weekend every weekend.
It feels very good. Earl, I can't believe it's supposed to be Thursday.
I didn't work every day, so it's just another day. It's just another day in the neighborhood.
Fair enough. All right, well, let's dive right into our first and only real sports topic of the day. Then we're going to have some fun at the end. And Earl, what we have talked about, at least in the office, not necessarily on air, but in the office about this Cavs coaching search is who ultimately is making the final decision on hiring their next head coach. And how much power does each player in this equation have? And by player, I'm not talking about like Craig Porter Jr. or Amani Bates, but the three big players in this scenario: Dan Gilbert, Koby Altman, and whether we want to admit it or not, Donovan Mitchell. On ESPN Cleveland radio today, Brian Windhorst was asked about Donovan Mitchell's role within the Cavs organization. And Windy said that Donovan's role ranks among the most powerful for any superstar in the league, saying, quote, "What Donovan has with the Cavs is what LeBron has with the Lakers. In fact, it might be even stronger." Earl, when you hear Windy, who is clearly tied into the Cavs organization and tied into the latest information on this Cavs coaching search, what do you make of the fact that Donovan may have as much, if not more, power than LeBron James would in this situation? Is that fair? Is that foul? Is that the right way to approach this hire?
I think it's the right way to approach it. It doesn't shock me at all that a superstar player has a lot of power in an organization. I mean, especially in the Cavaliers organization. And I think that Dan Gilbert is an owner that doesn't mind kind of giving that type of power to a star player. I think we've seen it here with LeBron. We've seen it for a short tenure with Kyrie before LeBron got here. Excuse me, but I think it comes with the territory, right? Especially in the NBA. I think that Donovan Mitchell, quite honestly, he deserves it. I mean, he's been a pro's pro. He seems to fit well in the city. He loves the city. Me and you've seen him out and about. I mean, this is a dude that embraced being a Cleveland Cavalier. This is a dude that embraces the city of Cleveland. He tells anybody that listens that he really, really likes it here. So if you want to kind of give that much power to a guy who's proven to be a team leader, who's proven to be kind of all in on the community, then, I mean, why not?
We need him. I think the team needs him. I understand why he has the power. Comparing him to LeBron is kind of crazy in my eyes, just because you can't compare anybody to LeBron. But I understand that we need him, and if it makes him happy and he wants to stay here, that's what we got to do.
I understand why he has the power. I think it's absolutely ludicrous that he has that much power in the same realm as a LeBron James. Like, we have to, and first off, here's why. It's supply and demand. It is very, very, very difficult to get a star to Cleveland. When you get a star in Cleveland, you have to do everything in your power to keep him happy and keep him here as long as humanly possible. Donovan, from all reports, seems happy here. I think the tide has started to turn on the thinking that he has a very, very high likelihood of resigning as opposed to asking out. But it's a supply and demand thing. In LA, if LeBron was to leave, well, they still have Anthony Davis. They get another star. If Donovan was to leave Cleveland, it's a lot more difficult to get another star caliber player back to fill Donovan's shoes. But I think at the end of the day, with all due respect to Donovan Mitchell, and what I'm going to say is a bit of a knock on Donovan, but it's more meant to be a compliment. He's a top 15 player in the league, but he ain't top 2 or 3. And he's not close to that top tier. Like, there is a significant gap between the top tier and where Donovan Mitchell is. And to say Donovan has the same power as a Jokic or a Luka or a Giannis or somebody in that situation, I just think it's a little far-fetched. And the downside of that is we saw last offseason, like less than a year ago, Giannis, who should have that power, handpick his head coach, and guess how long Adrian Griffin lasted?
Cup of coffee.
Less than half a season. So there is serious danger and downside to letting your star player handpick his head coach. So I'm not – Donovan's incredible. Like do not take that as Donovan's incredible, but he's not in that same category as the top tier players. And with that being said, I totally understand and get why he's in the position he's in, especially in a position of power. I just am always hesitant, whether it's Donovan or LeBron. And hell, Giannis is the exact example to show why I'm hesitant, to give a player that much control when in a year he could be the one to ask out.
All right, so for me, I think Donovan is somewhere between 8 and 15 when it comes to the best players in the NBA. So we agree there. But I think his organizational impact is truly more significant than where he ranks as far as being one of the best players in the league. I think Donovan is one of the best people in the league. And I think you would agree with this, Mike, and you will too. Even if he's somewhere between 8 and 15, Donovan is top 5 of guys that you want with the ball in his hand with the game on the line simply because he has a killer instinct. And so I think that when you are one of 29, 30 NBA franchises and you get the opportunity to get your hands on a top 15 player, especially in the city of Cleveland where it's hard to attract free agents, then you, like you said, you do whatever you have to do to keep them. But especially when you get a guy who really likes it here, who really embraces the city of Cleveland. Again, I think that plays a significant role in him, getting as much power as being reported, because he kind of falls in line as being one of those Mr. Cavalier type dudes. Like, he embraces the organization. He embraces the city of Cleveland. He embraces his teammates. We see him publicly support his teammates all the time, right? He was pushing like hell to get Sam Merrill in a 3-point shootout. We've seen latest examples, him attending Greg Newsom's softball event, every half inning, taking times out to go sign autograph with fans, etc. So, like, we've seen Donovan Mitchell kind of put on for the city of Cleveland, and that's why I don't have a problem with it, at all. Like, I think it comes, just with him being a star now, to the point of like him being able to handpick his head coach primarily. I still think you got to make sure that, you getting somebody in here that, one, can mesh well with Donovan Mitchell, but more importantly than that, player development. Like, I think if you continue to develop guys like Sam Merrill, of course, Evan Mobley, Craig Porter Jr., Imani Bates, give me a dude that's more focused on that and not just Donovan Mitchell.
And
I was going to say, like, I don't disagree with him having the power. I do think it is crazy, though. Like, I think Mike said it right. Like, it is insane that we can give him that.
Yeah, and once again,
like, I get why.
It is what it is. Like,
yeah.
Trust me, there's no other way to approach a situation. I don't fault the Cavs. Every team in the league, outside of maybe 2 or 3 because of their history and their ability to attract free agents, like, they would be doing the exact same thing as the Cavs in this situation. It's no fault of the Cavs, and it's no fault of Donovan Mitchell. It's just crazy to me that the power shift in the NBA has gone so far in the favor of the players to a point where I don't know how they get it back. And I keep bringing up the Giannis thing, but it's a perfect example. Like, Giannis is a top 2 or 3 player in the league, right? We can all agree whether he's 1, 2, 3. Tyvis says 1, he's not 1. He's either 2 or 3, maybe 4 if you want to get crazy.
He's top 5. He's top 5.
He's top 5. It's unquestioned. Like, even if you don't like Giannis, you can't. And he handpicked a guy. First off, he said, I don't want to play for Budenholzer anymore, who won a title with, right? JB Bickerstaff in this particular instance never won a title or had nearly the postseason success that the Bucks had with Giannis and Budenholzer. He says, I don't want to play for him. I want to play for this guy instead. And 40 games into the season said, no, I don't like playing for this guy. Get him out. So it's a slippery slope to go down, but it's the only option the Cavs have, because you can't risk hiring somebody that doesn't click with Donovan and then Donovan not resign, because that is the absolute worst case scenario. So to answer the question we started with, Earl, and I think you agree, and I think you agree, Donovan kind of has the power, and I think that's how it has to be. I don't necessarily think that's how it should be, but I think that's how it has to be.
Who do you trust more with the power, though?
Well, I'm trying to think of like the Dan Gilbert.
I mean, obviously, Dan
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
I might trust Koby the most because he found JB Bickerstaff out of that. And he was the one who, I know he fired Ty Lue, but he didn't hire Beeline. That was above his head. Jason's reported that was a Dan Gilbert. But I was thinking, like, how many coaches that LeBron has begged for has panned out? Like, he wanted Ham. He fired Ham 2 years later. He's about to hire JJ Redick. Like, I'm not sure if that's going to work. He went through 1,000 different coaches in Cleveland. Like, it's really hard to coach those type of players, and LeBron's been the one essentially pulling the strings on all of those coaching hires.
I knew he respected Ty Lue more than the most.
What'd you say?
I knew he respected Ty Lue more than he respected the others.
Yeah. And
you know
part
what
of
I mean?
Like, the player background. So that's a great questioner. I'll do a little more research on player-picked coaches and how that's panned out. I don't have a great answer off the top of my head. But if I had to pick out of those three, I know I don't trust Dan Gilbert hiring the head coach.
Facts.
Donovan's a complete unknown. And Koby, he made the right call in going to JB. Probably kept him a year too long. Maybe Donovan by default, just because we have no idea. You know what I'm saying?
I just feel
like oh, go ahead, Earl.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Say what you
I was going to say, it's got to be at this point, I feel like it has to be Donovan by default because I think Koby has messed it up by keeping JB this year, and I don't know who Dan is anymore, you know? And I trust what everybody says. Like, I don't think Dan got it right most of the time when he was a Dan, so I don't know if he'd be any better now that he has gone through everything. So, yeah, honestly, I think I'd be all right kind of throwing this into the hands of Donovan and being like, well, let's hope for the best. And if he leaves, he leaves. Like, there's nothing you can do to control that. I think him leaving Cleveland can't be a thing just because if he does it, he does it. Like, it was the same thing when LeBron came home. We figured he was going to leave again.
I could be totally wrong on this, but I mean, Donovan Mitchell is clearly a franchise player, and I think he's a dude that you build your franchise around. And I think he has the character on and off the court that you look for in those type of dudes. I think that he buys into the city of Cleveland, and he get buckets, man. He a straight baller. His career statistically has been better since he's been a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. At the end of the day, no matter how we want to slice it, the Cavs were a play-in team before Donovan Mitchell got here. And I think that we all agree without Donovan Mitchell on this roster this last year, the Cavs probably would have been a play-in team again. So Donovan Mitchell impacts winning. He impacts this franchise in a significant way. And these are the breaks. From a fan standpoint, from a media standpoint, from however people want to look at it, people can have whatever feelings that they have towards Donovan Mitchell. At the end of the day, if you live in the city of Cleveland and you like the Cleveland Cavaliers, you want this dude on your franchise more than you don't because of everything that comes with it.
There is no scenario in the world, and I've heard people say this on Twitter, and it blows my mind every time I see it. There's no scenario in the world where the Cavs are better without Donovan Mitchell.
People believe that, though.
You can trade Donovan Mitchell, whatever the best package in the NBA is that you can get back, whatever the best potential combination of picks, players, whatever, that would be on the table in return for Donovan Mitchell. There is zero trades out there that make your team better without Donovan Mitchell than you are with Donovan Mitchell. So the thought of trading him and letting him walk and somehow being a better team to me is one of the most asinine, absurd, ridiculous things I have seen since being in Cleveland that has been floated around by multiple people on Twitter. It's not one person who pushed the narrative, Earl. It's been multiple people.
Kid you not. I will show you. So y'all remember when I had the whole Darius Garland to the bench take?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got tweets on my phone of people I was going back and forth with at the time, and I flat out asked somebody, like, do you think Darius Garland is better than Donovan Mitchell? And he flat out said yes. There are people who truly believe that Darius Garland is a better player. They think that Donovan Mitchell is Darius Garland's problem, and they think that this team is better off without Donovan Mitchell on the roster. And like, I ain't no basketball savant.
You don't have to do this one, Earl. You don't have
like,
to do this one.
That's kind of crazy. All of that is kind of crazy. But hey, to each his own. Everybody is entitled to their opinion.
Some are right, some are wrong. Some opinions are better than others, but everyone's entitled to their own. I've seen that take before, and I just want to know what world where trading your best player makes you better. And you could argue, if you want, that somehow Donovan is the reason Darius took a step back. And you could argue that Evan could be a different player if they didn't acquire Donovan. And that's probably in a roundabout way true in some far out world aspects. But the reality is, would you rather have a competitive team who was competing with the team that won the Eastern Conference this year with a injured roster, or a team like the Charlotte Hornets who develops guys and never make the playoffs? And I'd rather compete than have young guys develop and never know what they actually can do on a winning team because you just don't put together a winning team. So, yeah, I refuse to believe there's any world where the Cavs are better without Donovan Mitchell, and he has the power here. And whether or not that's the right way to go about it or the wrong way, it is the way that NBA teams operate. So sit back and enjoy the Donovan Mitchell hire. It is what it is.
I mean, it is what it is. Like you said, would you rather be competitive, pretty much assuring to make the playoffs, playing on ESPN and TNT or in this coming future NBC, or would you rather be the Charlotte Hornets? Like, and you can use this for perspective too. You know, we know like Ja Morant has had his off the court issues, but that's Memphis. You think that Ja Morant ain't finna get the same type of treatment, regardless of what he's been through? It is what it is when you a star player. These are the plays. This is the territory that comes with it. But I would rather be on this side of it than the other side of it, if I'm being totally honest. Because for people like us, like there's a fan perspective, but there's a media perspective. We know people who work in other cities and cover other teams. And guess what? They bag for say a team stopped way earlier than ours did. So.
And last thought, and we'll move on. And we're going to get to all that. I see a bunch of comments that we'll get to at the end of the show. We'll go through them all to wrap it up. But last thoughts on who has the power and should it be Donovan Mitchell or anything about the Cavs' current head coaching search situation?
No, I think you guys have said it all pretty much. Like Donovan, I think Donovan has the power. And at this point, he probably should, because I honestly thought Koby was going to go with JB and Dan was going to fire both of them. So the fact that he's still around does not leave me with a fantastic feeling, because I thought it was going to be a package deal, but I'm not going to have like a solid opinion until Donovan picks who he picks, and whoever he picks, we'll go from there.
Crazy too. Jason and I did a Cavs show earlier. Go back and watch it. Jason mentioned, I hadn't thought of this, but he thinks they might be able to make some trades and roster decisions before hiring a head coach, because the Lakers are circling in on JJ Redick to be their next coach.
Mm-hmm.
That the Wizards just hired their coach. So now the Cavs are really the only open job. They're in no rush. And Koby Altman said at his end of season presser, like they might go into the draft for that head coach, which to me sounded crazy, but he kind of laid out, well, do you want to hire a head coach before you know what Donovan's future is officially? Or do you want to wait to see Donovan resigns and then, all right, you're officially in, Donovan? All right, who do you want to be the coach? Let's go hire him right now. So this, unfortunately, could be a very drug out process for us. And we're going to come up with some real creative ways over the next month, Earl, to talk about who the Cavs should hire as their next head coach. And we know the 4 candidates, and we know they're just waiting for that impending Donovan decision.
Hey, call me crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised if some off-the-record conversations have already been had. And when we start seeing certain moves be made, we already know what's up. So, like, I just think we just got to be patient. The Cavaliers clearly have their own plan of how they're going about this. Jason was on with me Sunday, and he alluded to the same thing, that we can see moves being made. He did also allude to the fact that if it was up to Koby Altman, he'll bring back this called Core 4, but it's going to be powers that's a little higher than Koby Altman that's going to be forced for some moves to be made. And quite honestly, some moves do need to be made. So
yeah,
I'm glad, those said powers are stepping in.
Let's tell a little behind-the-scenes stories here, guys. We had our guy Zach came in yesterday, and this is the second time Zach's been with us. Zach he just graduated from Rivier High School, right? Am I saying it right?
Rivier, I believe.
Rivier. He's going to be a freshman at Akron next year, and he brought in his camera, took some pictures, and I should have had them ready to pull in, and I may try to send these in as we go. But Earl, did you see the picture I sent that he took of you?
Yeah, I seen it.
Earl,
we got to get in here. And can you?
Yeah, I'll do my best. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
All right. Well,
it was so crazy.
While he's looking for this, Earl, I just got to ask. You look like you were taking orders, ready to go to war, as if someone just stole your mom's purse and you were hunting them down like Liam Neeson from Taken. And I'm curious, do you have any idea what Director Steve was talking about in that moment that had you so locked in and focused on his words that you looked like a soldier prepared for battle?
So I actually remember that picture. You were actually going over the show rundown. And I was just
so much better. Look how attentive my guys are. Let's go.
I was locked in to see exactly what segments was which. Put my in and my outs, making sure I got the proper reads in there and things like that. Just getting ready for the show. So
I can tell you what Director Steve said though.
Steve
Pointed at Earl and goes, "Do you want to go stand behind the chairs and pose for the pictures too, Anthony?" And I was like, "No, I'm all right." Because I was sitting off to the side.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's exactly what Steve said to me.
Steve's low-key really funny.
Yeah, Steve was definitely roasting you while you guys were doing the show rundown.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Well, Zach did a great job taking pictures. We posted some on our Instagram if you want to go check them out. But he made Tyvis look serious, Jason look happy, Bo look friendly, and all of us look way better than we do in real life. So check it out on Instagram and give Zach a follow. He did a great job with that. We also have had a couple of cookouts recently. We had some burgers today. Earl, you gave us your top 5 in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
We heard we saw a bull chow down on a burger and a dog. G. Bush had 2. And we had a extra long weekend. And Director Steve never told us what he did. So what do you think Director Steve spent his Memorial Day weekend doing, Ant?
Real quick before we get to this, here's the picture.
That's the picture of Earl.
That's Mike. That's your hand, by the way.
Oh, I thought it was Director Steve's hand. No, well, that makes it so much better that he's listening to me. I feel much better as a boss knowing that's the kind of attention I demand from my my coworkers and associate producers. So shout out to Earl. It's a badass picture. Like I mean that the best. That's a badass picture.
Hey, that is right though.
Wait a minute, yeah, associate producers.
Yeah,
hold
on.
Let's run that back one more time.
I still say AP. It's because to call myself I'm not a senior, I'm not a senior citizen. I'm just a producer.
No, you a senior producer.
It's all the same thing.
The only senior citizen we have on the production team.
Your checks pay exactly the same whether I call you an AP or a producer. So it don't matter in that sense.
That's true.
Actually, AP sound harder than saying I'm a P. So
it's true. Yeah.
If you tell somebody I'm an AP or I'm a P, they're gonna look at you like you weird. So
yeah, no, it's definitely a better abbreviation for associate producer. I don't know what Steve does, man. I've come into for all of you guys who laugh at Director Steve, I have come into the studio and been like, "Hey Steve, how's your weekend?" And he goes, "Oh, I ended up in Seattle. I ended up in Portland. I ended up over on the West Coast." And I just life in retirement with a part-time job. It sounds like a great time, man.
Yeah, he was retired. I don't think people understand. We lured Steve out of retirement for this.
Yeah.
He was done. He quit. He gave up, and then he met us, and somehow he wants to keep working. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think we're making him young again, and I think he out here just exploring the world now.
He's doing sit-ups now. I don't think we made him younger. I think we were in the best shape of his life because of us.
Yeah, he said 40 something like that.
He does 40 sit-ups every morning.
Yeah.
Watch him come in with a jacked 6-pack.
He preparing to whoop Tyvis' ass. That's what's going on.
Tyvis is gonna be so mad if he has an ab before Tyvis does.
If Director Steve beats Tyvis in a one-on-one, he gets a reception on Tyvis, I think Tyvis has to just quit. He has to give us all his NFL money. He has to give to Steve. That
is a fantastic idea. So we're all gonna try and hit off of a J pitch, right?
Yeah, that's in the works. I was talking.
So we're working on that. Are we all gonna try and catch a pass off of Tyvis?
See, that's a little harder because I genuinely, I'm not being an asshole. I genuinely think people would pull their hamstrings.
Yeah, no, I think Tyvis would school all of us, but
I don't think anyone has a chance on Tyvis. I'll be none of us are getting off the line. Tyvis is huge right now. And I don't mean that he's not fat. Tyvis is a giant person. People don't realize how big Tyvis is.
Yeah.
Until you stand next to him. Tyvis is legit 6'3". He says he weighs 240 right now.
And when we did that thing at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, one of the fans that was there, he walked up to me. He was like, "Man, I had no idea Tyvis was that big." He was like, "I thought he was smaller on TV."
Go back and find the episode. It's not when we did shots with the Quell. It may have been our 1-year anniversary. I don't remember. But there's a part in one of our episodes where G, Brad, and Tyvis, and Jay, and me are standing on set. It's the 5 of us taking a shot of something. I think it was just the Cleveland whiskey. And I have never felt so small in my life. And I had like my Timberland boots on. Like you've got 6'4", 6'3", 7 feet. And then I think Jay's what, 6'1"?
Jay says he's 6 foot. I think Jay might have shrunk a little. I think Jay's like 5'11".
Yeah, Jay's not that tall, but like I have never felt so small in my life.
Yeah, it's a big cast. And G Bush people are always shocked at how big G actually is in the flesh, because G's not just tall, but G's a wide, big defensive tackle body. He covers some space. So
I remember last season that just ended. Me and Brad walked into Warrensville. I was going to my daughter's game. And like we standing there talking, and I told Brad, man, like I can't keep just standing next to you, man. Like, you know, that's a tall ass dude. You know what I mean? Eventually, you just want to move away from him. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, try being on a college basketball team where you're the second shortest person and everyone's 6'7" or taller. Like, I didn't take a single good picture in college because I was so, you know, the camera angles here, you see my head just popping up on the bottom.
That's true. Like you and I would know what it's like to be under 6 feet tall. Like I've just been the shortest friend since like sophomore year of high school.
Your friends aren't that tall.
All of my guy friends, except for the one that you've met, are all over 6 feet tall.
What's Maddie's boyfriend?
That's Nick. He's like my height. This is the only one that's my height.
Tall.
He's trying to remember everybody now.
Isaiah's big. He's tall, dude.
Isaiah's a tall dude. You got Skylar, who comes into like 6'4". He's trying.
Joel's
like 6'2", 6'1".
Joel's not 6'2".
Yeah, oh yeah, Joel's tall.
No way.
100%. This is riveting content, by the way. You trying to remember my friends and me telling you.
We'll pivot. Anything else behind the scenes that we need to talk about before we get to some viewer questions? I know it's been a short week, only been back 2 days.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen you guys in 2 weeks.
We got Jason's story about not getting arrested. That was actually let's give a little more context to Jason's story, because I do think that people will appreciate this. And he alluded to enough that I don't think we're going to break any trust with Jason here. But Jason told the story. If you missed it, go back to yesterday's show. He talked about his arrest warrant that was out for him that he decided to take care of after we had told him probably the right move. Shout out to Earl for saying it first, like, hey, screw the popo, like, you'll be fine, ain't gonna catch you, and then actually being like, no, go take care of it. It ain't worth the risk. Have you ever laughed as hard as you had during the first few texts of that exchange, where Jason, Earl, Tyvis, Ant, and myself were contemplating what we do with Jason when he officially got arrested? Because I was pretty convinced he was going to end up behind bars. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I kind of was too. I was like, hey, he really going to go down for this?
When he kind of laid out the line, and he said it yesterday at the show, he's like, maybe I just skip court out of the 3 things I have to do. I read that and I was like, oh, we're never seeing Jason again.
My attitude was, police got a job, make them do their job. But then when I got serious, it was just like, no, man, be a good friend here, man. That man got stuff to lose, and you know, just his luck, man. He get pulled over by a cop who read an article, and they not a fan of Jason Lloyd.
I'll go back. Some of the memes were very good getting thrown out there.
I'll try and put the one I put when he said the cop has to earn the ticket. I made a great one for that one.
He didn't know who Tay K is.
Hey Chris, yes we are. Yes we are. Yes, we are.
He didn't know Tay K. Tyvis had to explain to him the ankle monitor and the race song, which if you're unfamiliar, definitely worth checking out. Earl talk about There's bracelets and jewelry talk in there. It got real serious for a sec in a way that I never expected a group of us five to get serious.
Yeah, we're a pretty unserious bunch, that group that he texted, and I was like, he'll be fine. Like,
Hey, what's his name? Boss man D-Lo. That's the first thing I thought about. I was bad at fucking school. Now I'm trying to dodge a sentence. That's Jason.
that's messed up.
Yeah, so there was that.
I did have to get clearance from Earl for this one because I was like, is it wrong to put him in the Bronco?
No, absolutely not. Put him in the Bronco.
I was a little worried about it.
The Bronco is legendary, man. The Bronco is legendary. I remember seeing a Bronco on my way to school, man. Like when they were showing it on the TV.
My dad keeps telling me he wants to buy a new Ford Bronco.
Yeah,
they showed you that in kindergarten or how?
Like I remember like seeing it on TV. Like that was the biggest thing that was on TV. So like I used to like when my parents were sitting in the living room watching it, I was watching it. Like my first introduction to OJ was the Case. I ain't know nothing about Juice who played for the Bills. Like
what year was the chase?
94.
Was it 90?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was 3 years away from being born.
He said the preferred escape vehicle.
All right, you guys want to do some viewer questions to wrap it up here? Chris is right though.
He's right, but yeah, let's do some questions, Mike.
He's right. Shout out to Chris Gillespie, by the way. He's got a bunch of comments in. Chris Young, this was earlier. We're talking about where Donovan ranks. He said between 7 and 10. It comes down to personal preference and what you value in a player. I think he's a little lower. He's in that tier, and I like tiers more than numbers because you could argue different tiers. I think the top 4 in order, in my personal order, is Jokic, Luka, Giannis, and Embiid, the top 4, and that's a tier of its own. Then there's another tier of like fringe superstars, and then Donovan's that next tier, that third tier of legit stars. I'm not sure he's quite a superstar, but I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Hot take, I think Donovan Mitchell better than Jason Tatum.
Ooh.
I mean, I picked him over him in the playoff series. I don't think he's a better overall player.
And to be honest with you, I think another reason why people like hesitant to rank him higher, if Donovan Mitchell was 6'6" and not 6'1",
yes,
he'll probably be 5 or 6. But the fact that he played like he's 6'6" or taller, and he got a killer instinct. If I was driving, and I kid you not, like I'm taking Donovan Mitchell over Jason Tatum just for the simple fact I don't think Jason Tatum got a killer instinct in him. And you could argue Jaylen Brown is probably the best player on that team.
Well, Brown won the MVP for the series, didn't he?
It was a 5-4 split.
Right?
Yeah, they both got
okay.
played.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, Tatum has a history of falling asleep in the playoffs, so I think I'd pick Mitchell over him as well.
I mean, he also had 50 points in Game 7 last year, so you know it comes down. I looked up the ringer just because I was curious. I looked up the ringer because Chris also said in a later comment he thinks Mitchell's the second best shooting guard in basketball behind Anthony Edwards. So I just went to the ringer because they do a top 100 list. And this was updated April 10th. They don't specify guards versus point guards, but they had Donovan as the 19th best player in basketball. And these were the guards they had above him. Not just shooting, these are just guards. Luka, SGA, Steph, Booker, Brunson, Halliburton, and Jamal Murray. So they had him as the 8th best guard in basketball. I think that's a little too low. I'd have him over Murray for sure.
I got him over Murray.
I think he's better than Halliburton. I know Halliburton.
I got him over Halliburton.
I'm taking
him over Halliburton.
I can't put him over Brunson right now.
No, Brunson is like his kryptonite.
I can't put him over
my boy, but until you kind of like get to that level and master that, he like the last board on 007 when we used to play it on 1964. On Nintendo 64. My bad. Like it's just that hard.
And then Devin Booker, like. What do you put him with Booker?
Man,
that's
Booker,
tough too.
He hard to figure out, man.
I'm a Devin Booker hater, honestly. Like I have no faith in Devin Booker, so I think I'd put him above it.
I love
raw talent. You might have to take Booker, but I think Booker's another one without a killer instinct.
No, Booker does have a killer instinct.
See, I'll take Devin Booker over Jason Tatum too.
So in the Ringer rankings, they had Tatum 7. I'll give you their rankings. We'll go 1 through 20 real quick.
Okay.
Jokic, Luka, Giannis, SGA, Embiid, Kawhi. They have Tatum at 7. Curry 8, Durant 9, Davis 10, Booker 11, LeBron 12, Brunson 13, Anthony Edwards 14, Jimmy Butler 15, Wemby 16, Halliburton 17, Murray 18, Mitchell 19, and Zion 20.
Let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
I don't know if go ahead.
And this is for both of y'all. Like, until the man retires, by default, just based on career alone, like, shouldn't LeBron still be ranked number 1 amongst all this?
I don't put 1. I think he has to be top 10. I think he's earned the right to be top 10 regardless of if he's playing, he's top 10.
Also, I don't know if I'd put Anthony Davis in the top 10 either. I think I'd have him lower than 10.
Davis,
and I'm not putting Tatum above Steph Curry, bro. I'm not doing that. Like,
what do you say?
Steph Curry is a better player than Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I would take Steph over Tatum too. I think Tatum, so they give you a whole analysis. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll read the first sentence. They had a bunch of different voters vote, and then they put the consensus. He was voted as high as 5th and as low as 8th. Consistency, he's 6'8", plays defense. He's a good rebounder. He averaged 27, 9, and 5 this year. Like, Tatum's a guy you just want more from. Because even though his numbers are awesome, you see you're like, I want even more, right? Is that kind of fair? He's just a guy
that might be a good way to look at it. Yeah.
He's kind of like in a way, he's similar to Myles Garrett in a sense. Like
okay.
Incredible. And the numbers, like, incredible. Myles puts up 14, 15 sacks, incredible. You're always like, he might be able to do more. And maybe he's not, maybe the ceiling is where he's at, but you always think he could do more just from a physical standpoint. And Tatum, like, he had a 61% true shooting. He shot 38 from 3 this year. He's a 3-time All-NBA player. Like, it just feels like he doesn't have. It feels like he should be giving you more.
I put it to you. Okay, I think what Donovan played the first 3 games.
Donovan played the first 3, correct?
The first 3 games, right? Tatum was never the first or second best player on the court. Those first 3 games.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
and and they have Jaylen Brown, by the way. Jaylen Brown's 20. I just saw him. He's 25th.
Freddie, man, it ain't got nothing to do with him being light skinned. I just don't think he got a killer instinct. Like, I don't think Jason Tatum got that, man. No, the hell with that. I got this. Like, in him. I just don't. Like, I could be totally wrong. I just don't think he got that. That's all.
Like, I'm just trying to remember, man, like, before they got Brown, I don't remember this, like, him being able to carry the Celtics by himself as well.
Tatum?
Yeah.
I think they drafted Brown first.
No.
And then they drafted
him. Tatum was 1 year before Brown. They made the Eastern Conference Finals his rookie year.
Man,
he wasn't
I
like
misremembered that, yeah.
That was Kyrie Irving.
That's right. It was the Kyrie year.
That was that first year of Kyrie. So yeah. I mean,
Boston moved around so much. I couldn't remember the order of everybody.
Once again, I think Tatum, and I picked Donovan when we did the 10 best players in the series. I picked Donovan over Tatum for that series. I would take Tatum over Donovan if you're doing like best player in the league list. It's close. He puts up numbers. I just think you want more because he's 6'9", stupidly skilled, athletic, and then he just is kind of passive at times in the game. So I think it's fair.
When does I would just like, I guess, like a deep dive of when does he put up those numbers? Because like,
you want Tatum's career playoff numbers?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right,
we're in this at this point.
For 1 sec while I look these up.
Because like you might be right about the Myles Garrett thing. I think of Boston and I just think like, all right, Tatum's there. Like, I never have ever thought of him as the guy, even though I know he's like a good player.
I think Jaylen Brown the best player on that team.
I think so too.
And I think Jason Tatum is a baller. I just don't think I just think he's a bit overrated. That's
yeah, that's fair. He definitely had like, hit me with it.
For his career, he's played in 19 playoff series, by the way, which is absurd for a guy who's 26 years old.
Has he ever had a season where he's
made the playoffs every season of his career? He's made it past the first round of the playoffs every season of his career. He's made an NBA Finals. This will be his second final. It's an absurd amount.
Yeah.
7 years, 19 playoff series. For his career, he's averaging. Hold on. Hey, Gabby, I'm behind the glass right now. You're live. You want to say hi? All right, Gabby says hi. I'll call you back in a sec.
Hi, Gabby.
For his career, 19 playoff series, he's averaging 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists per game.
All right. Yeah,
pretty good. Yeah,
no, I like my argument is pretty mute then. I don't know.
It feels like you want more. Like it just feels like you want more. And like last year against Miami, he averaged 27, 10, and 5 against Miami last year and they lost.
Is it maybe like a Jokic thing where he just like does it so quietly that we just don't realize it? Like he's not.
No, I don't think it's that. Like the numbers is cool, but like you got to put the eye test with the numbers.
Yeah,
it
feels empty at times.
It does feel empty because I didn't see Jason Tatum shrink in big moments in big games, or like when they need a big time bucket or something like that. So, like, I didn't see Kevin Love put up 30 points in the first quarter in Cleveland and finish the game with 36.
Cat had a 64-point game and they lost, and he got benched in the fourth quarter. Like, it's not just numbers. There's something to it. You want more from Jason Tatum. At the end of the day, like Celtics fans, I think would even admit Tatum's a great player, but they want more.
Fair enough.
Which is the standard you get held to when you're a superstar. That's why when we get mad at Donovan when he's an off game, it's like, hey, you're a superstar. Like you expectations are sky high for a player of that caliber. All right, we got on a Jason Tatum tangent. Let's get back to the
Hey, one last thing and we can go on. You are absolutely right. The moment you drop 70 in a game, everything changed. Like everything changed. Like, bro, I know what you're capable of. So don't you be coming out here with these 20-point games, Donovan Mitchell. We ain't on that. Like,
yeah, he's incredible. Like Donovan's incredible. It's just tiers to incredible, and he's right on that tier. Let's see. Nas Bari says JJ Redick to Cleveland. It looks like he's headed to the Lakers. So I think that's gonna be out. Dre Nash and Parma Jute say DG doesn't fit if they keep Mitchell, which is what Jason reported in his article. He also says, this is a good question. What star would you pair with Donovan if we trade Darius? Let's just say you could pair any star, unrealistic as can be. If you want to pick Jokic, you can pick Jokic. Who do you think is the perfect partner as a option 1, 1A, 1B with Donovan Mitchell? And Earl, does one guy come to mind as would be a perfect pairing mate?
It can be absolutely anybody?
Anyone, yeah.
I
have a guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah, given the strength of the East, I'd take Giannis. I'll pair him up with Giannis.
Giannis is a good one. Earl?
That's a really good question. A current star that I would pair him with. Man. Honestly, man, if Evan Mobley can develop, like I would love to see what him and Ja look like.
You went back. I mentioned this when we talked about offseason targets. Kevin Durant is the ideal, in my opinion, perfect combination from an offensive standpoint to Donovan. He doesn't need the ball a ton to be efficient. He can carry the offense if Donovan's out. You can run offense through him as the playmaker, and Donovan can come off ball screens and get ahead of steam going downhill. Plus, most importantly, you could never have spacing issues when Kevin Durant's on the court. And good luck trying to stop a pick and pop when you got Kevin Durant setting a screen and Donovan Mitchell coming downhill. I think that's, in my opinion, the absolute perfect pairing. But Dan Gilbert and Matt Ishbia absolutely hate each other. There's a 0.0% chance those two would ever make a deal for any player, rather less a guy of Kevin Durant's caliber.
Like, is a billionaire beef? Like what's wrong? Dan told him to get his money up.
Dan owns Rocket Mortgage, and Ishbia owns the other big real estate, and they legit battle. And apparently, it's gotten very personal. And I don't know exactly all the details, but it's not good. Gilbert was the only one to vote no to allowing Ishbia to be an owner. Put it that way.
Well, I mean, Dan from Detroit, so
yeah,
he was probably like, "Your money ain't long." You know what I'm saying? I'm from 8 Mile. Come see me.
Yeah, It was
It probably got real ugly.
KD in a Cavs uniform would be gross too.
We didn't talk Browns, but Chris says, I saw G. Bush make a take about how Watson's trade contract isn't the worst, and I agree, but I want you guys to answer as of today, how is it good without saying his potential? Earl? There it is again.
So it's funny, when we was behind the glass, literally, me and Ant looked at each other, and we said, no disrespect to the fans and people, they want to know. I say, man, but I get tired of talking about Deshaun Watson. I said, I talk about Deshaun Watson, it seems like all day, every day. And it just gets tiresome. Like, I think Deshaun Watson is a good football player. I think he's been through a lot. I think the dude overcoming adversity, I think we have our own timeline in our head. But I think every time in real talk, everything happens in God's timing. So it is what it is. I just think the dude is a good football player. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do this year. Chris, I apologize. That's the best I got for you, though.
The best answer I can give to that is it's not over till it's over. I mean, it's year 3. We got, 2 years after this? It can't be the worst until it's over. There's still potential. So, we'll know at the end, but we can't know now for sure.
I'll say here's why. The 49ers made the trade for Trey Lance. They didn't give out the contract that Deshaun got, but they gave up even more draft capital, and they've already moved on from Trey Lance. The Broncos have already moved on from Russell Wilson. It is year 3. Deshaun has not played at the level I think we've expected him to play at yet. He's been injured, hasn't played enough. But the Browns still believe in him enough to keep him around, and we've seen 2 other teams already passing the quarterbacks they put up and gave up exponential amounts of capital for. So that is why, as of right now, G. Bush is right. It is not the worst deal yet. And Earl, I'm not sure if you looked at the rundown yet, but we are having the Deshaun Watson topic on the show tomorrow. So I apologize.
I mean, that's my job.
Yeah.
So when I say that, we had so many on the clock conversations about it.
When you're off the clock, you want to talk about other stuff.
Can I give some context too to that? It was during our top 3 Browns topic today. And it still turned into a Deshaun Watson.
It still somehow went.
I just looked at Earl and I was like, no matter what we do, it's coming back to that.
Well, that's the big question. No matter.
I know.
We could break down every facet of the Browns we want. The reality is, if Deshaun's the Deshaun they need him to be, they could win the Super Bowl. And if he's not, they're probably still going to be a good team and win 9-10 games, but they have a ceiling. And that's unfortunately the pressure that comes with being a quarterback, for better or worse. Let's see. Freddie says Damian Lillard or Spider. It's Mitchell right now. It's not close in my opinion.
Yeah, Mitchell's way younger.
Spider.
Yeah.
Spider.
Yeah. I don't think it's close at that opinion. And last but not least, we got JoJo Boyd who says, how's LeBron coming back when Bronny's refusing to work out for any teams but the Lakers and the Suns?
Dude, I don't know how you're refusing to work out for teams when people are saying you probably shouldn't even be drafted. I take every workout I could get, right?
I don't think we brought up LeBron coming back, but I do agree with Ant. If you're trying to get to the league, I think he had 10 workouts scheduled. I don't think you're in this situation. I mean, you are because of LeBron being your dad. But normally, man, you're not in a situation where you can turn down working out for, say, a team. If your goal is truly to get to the league, then you do whatever you got to do when you get to the league, especially when the odds are stacked against you and people want to see you fail.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion on that. So
turning down workouts is not uncommon. Let me just stress that.
No, it's not.
Players,
it's not.
Stephon Castle, who's going to be a top 10 pick, the freshman from UConn, has said he's not going to work out for any teams that already have an established point guard. He wants to go to a team where he can be the primary ball handler. It is not uncommon. It's just uncommon for a draft prospect of the status of Bronny James.
Yeah.
People turn down draft workouts all the time. It's just not usually potential second-round picks, and that's why it's a little weird. But he's LeBron James's kid, and nepotism's real. And even though he probably has earned the right to get a look and be drafted, he's probably going to get drafted a lot higher because of his father. And guess what? When he gets to the leagues, he has a chance to prove himself. And once he makes it, it's not going to matter who his dad or his mom or his brother or sister is. It's going to matter the merit of his basketball abilities. That's going to wrap it up.
Lil Bro better though.
Shoot, what do you say?
I do think Lil Bro is better.
Bryce?
Nah, I can't. Like, I hope Bronny has a successful NBA career, but man, I can't wait till Bryce get there and see Bryce take on Bronny. That's what I can't wait for.
If Bron's still playing when Bryce comes, then just put him on Mount Rushmore and then put him on Mount Rushmore next to himself and put 2 more LeBrons on Mount Rushmore. That'll be 24 years. Just incredible. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for Behind the Glass. We went 50 minutes. Our goal was 30. We went 20 minutes long because we love you guys. For Ant, for Earl, I'm McNuggets. We'll see y'all tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Peace.